Ever get that feeling like you're just scratching the surface with people? Like, you meet someone and you can't shake this feeling that there's just a whole lot more to them than meets the eye.
It's so true. We've all been there. It's like we're just seeing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to who they really are.
Right. And honestly, it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. So I was super stoked to dive into this article, How to Know an Individuality, with you today. It basically gives us this framework for moving past those initial impressions and really understanding someone as a unique individual.
It's a fascinating piece. And they use this example of Bill throughout the article to kind of illustrate their points.
Yeah, Bill's our guy. So, like, the article starts off by making this distinction between, get this, Bill as a type versus Bill as an individuality.
And that's really the crux of it, isn't it? We tend to get stuck on the type, those surface level observations, someone's job, their background, maybe even just the way they dress. But that's just scratching the surface.
Totally. Like, just imagine you meet someone at a party and they tell you they're, let's say, an accountant. It's so easy to just kind of slot them into that accountant box in your head.
It's human nature. We do it all the time. And actually, the article even calls that first stage of observation recognizing typical characteristics. It's like, yeah, we all have those initial impressions, but the key is not stopping there.
Okay, so then how do we move beyond those initial impressions? How do we break free from just seeing accountant Bill and start to get to know the real Bill, the individual?
Well, the article uses this phrase I absolutely love. They talk about emancipation from type. Basically, it's about looking for those ways that someone breaks free from those assumptions.
Okay, I am so here for this emancipation from type. Give me an example, though. How would Bill emancipate himself from the accountant stereotype?
It could be anything. Maybe you find out that Bill, our accountant friend, is also a black belt in Taekwondo, or he spends his weekends volunteering at an animal shelter, or he secretly writes poetry.
Oh, I love that. The accountant who's also a poet. That's so much more interesting, right? Like suddenly he's not just accountant Bill anymore. He's Bill, the multifaceted, complex human being.
Exactly. It's those unexpected details, those little glimpses into their passions and interests that start to chip away at our preconceived notions.
Okay, so we're starting to see Bill as more than just an accountant. We're seeing him kind of break free from that initial label. But where do we go from there? How do we really start to understand what makes him tick?
Well, that's where this article really digs deeper. It starts talking about understanding Bill's inner core.
So what do they even mean by that? Is it like, his deepest, darkest secrets, his hopes and dreams?
It's more about his core values,
Mm.
like what motivates him at his core. It's about understanding the why behind the what. You know what I mean? Like, why does he do what he does? What makes him get out of bed in the morning?
Okay, yeah, I'm starting to get it. It's like we can observe someone's actions, their hobbies, their career choices, but to really understand them, we have to dig deeper into what's driving those
Yeah,
choices.
exactly. And this article, it argues that this kind of understanding, it takes work. It's not just about passively observing someone. It's about asking the right questions and really, really listening to their answers.
So what kind of questions are we talking about here? Give me an example.
Well, instead of asking Bill, so what do you do? Which, let's be honest, can be a bit of a conversational dead end sometimes.
Oh, worse.
You could ask him something like, what's something you're deeply passionate about, even if other people don't always get it,
Oh, I like that. That's getting to the good stuff.
right? Or, what's a value that you refuse to compromise on no matter what?
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay, so we're starting to uncover Bill's inner world, his motivations, his values. Where does the article take us next?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. It talks about the importance of observing someone's ethical conduct.
Ethical conduct. How does that play into understanding someone's individuality?
So the article argues that it's in those moments when someone has to make a tough call, a moral decision, that their true self really shines through.
Oh, I see. Do they cave under pressure, or do they stay true to their values even when it's hard?
Exactly. And the article actually gives this great example with Bill. Remember, he's an accountant.
Yep.
Well, the article says he's thinking about quitting his stable job to start his own company. Now, on the surface, that might seem risky. He could just play it safe, right?
Right.
But the article says he feels creatively stifled at his current job. He has all these ideas, this unique vision that he wants to bring to life, even if it means taking a risk.
So he's like, yeah, I could play it safe, stay at my boring old accountant job, but where's the fun in that?
Right. He's got this fire in his belly, this need to create and contribute on his own terms, even if it means potentially upending his whole life.
That's so interesting because it would be easy for him to just say, well, starting my own business is too risky. I'm just going to stay put. But that's not Bill. He's choosing to follow his passion, even if it's scary.
And that's what the article's getting at. It's in those moments of choice, those moments of ethical decision making,
Yeah.
that we really see what someone's made of. It's like their true individuality just shines through.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about what someone says they believe in, it's about how they actually show up in the world, especially when things get tough.
Exactly. It's like, actions speak louder than words.
Well, sure. Okay, so this whole framework, it's not just about understanding Bill, right? This applies to everyone we meet.
Absolutely. It's about approaching every single interaction with a sense of curiosity and a willingness to really see the person in front of us.
Okay, but how do we actually put this into practice?
Well, it's more about shifting your mindset, like approaching every interaction as an opportunity to discover something new, something unique about the person you're talking to.
So instead of walking into a conversation with all these assumptions, we lead with curiosity.
Exactly. Ask those open-ended questions, the ones that invite people to share their passions, their struggles, their dreams, and then really listen to what they have to say.
This whole conversation has been so eye-opening. It's like you've given us this whole new way of seeing the world and the people in it.
And, it makes you think, doesn't it? Like the article focuses on understanding Bill, but this framework, it applies to how we see ourselves too.
Ooh, that's a good point. By learning to appreciate the individuality in others, we're also invited to explore our own.
Exactly. It's like, what are my core values? What really motivates me? And am I living in alignment with those values?
This conversation has been a mirror, reflecting not just how we see the world, but how we understand our place in it.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So, to wrap things up, I guess what we've learned today is that everyone has a story, right? Like, there's always more to people than meets the eye. So, the next time you meet someone new, channel your inner how to know and individuality wisdom. Embrace the mystery, ask the good questions, and see what you discover.